Hi, welcome to Lesson 1, Putting It into Practice, GCED Integration and Contextualization Across Learning Areas. I am Kristine Joan Barredo, your facilitator for Module 3, using the manual or guide and GCED lesson exemplar, presentation, and critiquing. Global citizenship education is important to understand the reasons why we only need to look at all the persisting conflicts, social unrest, injustices, and cases of inequality and unsustainable uses of resources, as well as natural and human made disasters around the world. So, how can we transform vision into practice? The answer lies in an education that brings about change and personal transformations through actions and practices. How can we prepare our learners for these challenges? Education should not be reduced to nothing more than the creation of skilled workers. Rather, quality education must also develop the skills, values, and attitudes that enable citizens to lead healthy and fulfilled lives, make informed decisions, and respond to local and global challenges through education for sustainable development and global citizenship education, as well as human rights education and training in order to achieve the United Nations Education 2030 Agenda. As all the 17 SDGs are important to realize the 2030 Agenda's transformative vision, education is the main driver of development. SDG 4, Education 2030, with 7 outcome targets and 3 means of implementation, aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. May I share with you about the story of a girl who stands for right to learn. This is the story of Malala, a true global citizen. Malala's struggle against the suppression of children and young populations and her fight for the right of all children to education have helped spur on global discussions.
In 2014, a young woman from Pakistan was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, proving that it is never too early to fight for peace.
I'm very proud to be the first Pashtun, the first Pakistani, and the youngest person to receive this award. Along with that, I'm pretty certain that I'm also the first recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize who still fights with her younger brothers.
Malala Yousafzai grew up in the Swat Valley in Pakistan. She was only 10 years old when the Taliban took control and started imposing new rules. Malala knew that she had the right not only to get an education, but also to express her opinion. In collaboration with the BBC, Malala started blogging. Under a false name, she wrote a diary about her life, fears, and dreams. But she also criticized the Taliban regime. Malala's blog got a lot of attention in Pakistan, and many wondered who wrote it. Eventually, her family decided to reveal the secret. The Taliban, however, did not appreciate all of this attention. Despite receiving threats, Malala kept going. After the Pakistani authorities managed to drive the Taliban out, life went back to normal. But in October 2012, disaster struck. On her way home from school, the school bus suddenly stopped. 2 men came aboard, and one of them asked, "Who is Malala?" Everything happened very fast. Critically injured, Malala was rushed to the hospital. From there, she was flown to England to receive further medical treatment for several months. Miraculously, Malala survived the attack and recovered. The Taliban's intention was to silence Malala once and for all, but instead, she became famous. Using that attention and support, she raised awareness on the issue of education, not only in Pakistan, but globally. Her activism landed her several awards, and it all peaked when she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014 with Kailash Satyarthi. At the age of 17, she became the youngest Nobel laureate. She managed to make education an international priority and proved that freedom of expression is a compelling instrument to change the world. She has also shown us that, regardless of age, anyone can make a difference. Your voice can also be a force for positive change. What are you going to use it for?
So, do you think that Malala is a global citizen? If yes, what makes you think that? If not, what are your reasons? Reflecting on the story shared, what are the features or values of a global citizen? You can answer this in our forum discussion in the EP New portal. So, how can I integrate and contextualize global citizenship education in my specific lesson content? By using the Paghabi framework, or the Philippine adaptation of GCED holistic approach in basic education and institutionalization. So, what is integration? It is seeking, identifying, and strengthening connections, underscoring meaningful connections. And what is contextualization? It is linking the learning of basic skills and academic content by focusing, teaching, and learning directly on concrete application in a specific context that is of interest or experiential to the student. Kids learn better and faster and retain information longer when they are taught concepts in context. So these are the platforms for integration and contextualization. It should be theme-based. It can be care for the environment, the love for their country, and respect of people's differences. It can be skills-based. Observation skills, it can be computer skills, analytical skills. And story-based. You can use the story elements, values and themes, our current events. It can be project-based, investigatory skills, drawing and coloring, or community projects. And they can react. It can relate experience, applying, cooperating, and transferring. So these are the steps in designing your own lesson exemplar. First, you need to identify the pedagogy and tools to be used for the activity. Set the GCED learning objectives and should be aligned with your content area. Third, identify the subject and age group for the activity or lesson. Fourth, after setting the objectives, check the big GCED themes and create an overview of the plan. And fifth, write the breakdown of activities, including assessment, alongside the GCED learning objectives, ensuring that the activity will contribute to the cognitive, socio-emotional, and behavioral dimensions. With this concern in mind, Michael Putman and Eric Biker created the Global Citizenship 1-2-3 model as a tool that can support teachers as they pursue development of their learners' global competencies and subsequently enable them to become global citizens. It is situated in the 3 GCE dimensions, namely cultural responsiveness, global infused content, and experiential opportunities. We use the term cultural responsiveness to describe how GCE is anchored in the socio-emotional connection to empathy and the respect for diversity. In describing the cognitive dimension, we employ the global infused content, which captures how GCE includes global awareness and examination of the interrelatedness of global, national, and local issues. And finally, we use the term experiential opportunities to describe UNESCO's behavioral dimensions. Experiences are a critical part of helping learners develop a global citizen. Notably, they have to develop global awareness, build empathy, and move learners to the recognition of interconnectedness and shared challenges. These are the GCED integration strategies that can be implemented into our lesson exemplars. Making connections or pag-uugnay, asking questions o pagtatanong, exploring perspective or pagpapakahulugan, reflecting or pagsasapuso, and the last is taking actions or pakikibahagi. Using the DepEd daily lesson exemplar parts, we have come up the GCED integration strategies and pedagogical principles that are aligned to the MELCs. First is reviewing previous lessons or presenting the new lesson, or you could establish a purpose for the lesson. You can integrate pag-uugnay or making connections. The pedagogical principles underlying it is holistic and interdisciplinary. Second is presenting examples or instances of the new lesson. You can integrate pagtatanong or asking questions. It develops dialogue and participation to the learners. And third is discussing new concepts and practicing new skills and develop mastery. You could use pagpapakahulugan or exploring perspective. This will embed the multimodal approach in the integration of GCED. Next, we have finding practical applications of concepts and skills in daily living and making generalizations and abstractions about the lesson. You could integrate pagsasapuso or reflecting. This will inculcate the values formation of the learners. And the last, to evaluate learning, you could integrate pakikipagbahagi o pakikibahagi or taking actions. This will embed the applicable and relevant critical empowerment of our learners.